Hey everyone, it's the Angry Honey Badger here, and it's time for another build video. We're going to be playing as Jax, but first we are going to invade the enemy jungle because teamwork, hooray. We're chasing after this LeBlanc. Not exactly sure why she's not trying to get away right away. She's trying to get over to her team, but we're going to be able to secure this. I actually jump in and ignite her, but Janna's going to pick it up with the standard attack, so... yay, our support got it, whatever. Still good to get the first blood, though. A little bit of experience off that and gold. And we can get that blue buff stolen for our jungler. And that's all fun and dandy, and that's what's going on early in this game. We're going to go ahead and talk about a little bit of everything today when we're playing Jax. We're going to talk about the items, masteries, runes, abilities, and what way you might want to sequence them. You know, there's personal preference always in sequencing. I know this is always a big topic usually in the comments of my videos. People like to do things slightly different, but, you know, it just depends on how you're playing and how things are going and which champion it is. So we're going to go ahead and start off at level 1 this game. I decided to start with cloth armor and pots. I already have gone through a lot of them. Going to actually get up here, stun this volley. I do have a gank going on with not being here. We're going to try to pick up a early-ish kill on him. Not's going to pick that up. I'll get an assist, though, but the problems with Volibear early are he's just so beefy, especially with his passive. So it's good to get that used up on him and pick up an assist off of it. We're just going to go ahead and pick up some boots right now, award some more pots. I'm going to just play a little bit safe. I'm still reading him, see how greedy he wants to play. A lot of Volibear top players usually like to boss people around because they know they have a little bit of that extra health, and his bite does hurt. He does a lot of damage up in top lane, surprisingly. So I'm just trying to see how greedy he's going to get. He's going to take some tower hits and some damage from me, and I'll judge that. So here he's going to come over. We're going to do a little bit of damage to him. He's going to take one tower hit, and I know he doesn't have his passive, and he's lower than me, so I'm going to go ahead and jump on him, do some damage to him, and ignite him, and that's going to be enough to pick up a kill. So just a little bit of damage. I still had my ignite up, or at least it was back up from that first fight we got into when we were in their jungle. So it was still available, and I just, you know, I was reading the situation with this volley. Now, if you're going up against someone else, typically a pretty standard start, or two other starts I sometimes do will be boots and pots. I also try to take one mana pot with me because Jax will go through his mana, especially if you are getting into these little fights pretty quick. I usually try to make these work out by getting some type of kill or an assist. But if you are just another good method, if you really want to pick up an early kill, let's say it's somebody you might have an early advantage over, but you know as they scale it's tougher. Lately, like if I've been going up against a Nasus in top lane, I'll actually start with red pot and then some health pots and a mana pot just so I have some extra bonus early damage, and I can try to pick up a level 1 or 2 kill with Jax because he can do this fairly easily with a couple of his abilities. And we're going to go ahead and talk about his abilities first, so let's jump right on into those. First, let's go ahead and cover his passive. That's his Relentless Assault. And what happens here is every time Jax attacks an enemy, he gains attack damage. Here, actually, they're both going for my tower. I'm just going to beat on this Volibear for a second. So I'm getting my attack speed up from my passive. Going to go ahead and use a stun. He took a lot of that tower damage. Going to then just pick on him. I'm trying to stay in tower damage. I'm actually going to switch back over to Volley. It gets really close, but he does get low. I did ignite the tree, but the tree did run off. I was thinking about jumping after him and flashing, but I decided, you know, let's play it safe. I just got them off the turret, and I picked up another kill. So I'm able to farm and push the lane for now, and hopefully get this pushed and let some of it die to the tower before Volley gets back. But that's just what we were reading there. But let's go back to our abilities and passive. So Jax gets attack speed whenever he keeps attacking consistently. Basically, that's the gist of it. It stacks up a certain way, and once you stop attacking, or it can stack up to 6 times. Once you stop attacking, it'll go away. But that's his passive. It's kind of fun. Level 1, you can put a point either into your Q ability or your E, just depending on how you're trying to play, whether you're aggressive or passively, or if you need to use one of them to get away. So, but your Q ability is your leap strike. Jax will leap to a target. If it's an enemy he attacks, dealing damage to them based off a little bit of ability power and off of attack damage. It is dealt as physical damage, though, to them. You can also use this to jump towards or to allies or to allied minions. You can jump away with it. We'll see that a few times this game. So that is your Q ability. Maxing it out-wise, totally up to you. You know, it's just totally up to you. Just going to put it that way. I sometimes max it out first. Sometimes I won't. Maybe I'll put points into my W, but once again, I usually put more points into it early just for fun. Level 2, I usually always put a point. If I haven't already, put a point into my Counter Strike, which is Jax's E ability. What happens there is Jax is going to dodge all incoming basic attacks for 2 seconds and reduces AoE damage by 25% while he is dodging. At the end of the duration, Jax is going to deal some damage to them. It also is going to then stun them. Very short duration, but it's very helpful. Basically, you can start proccing it, and you can jump in, and then you can actually activate it again, after 2 seconds or whatever, and then make it go off and kill people, basically. You're going to stun them. It's great. You avoid damage, and you stun. It's fun. Make sure they're close enough to it, though, so they get stunned. You have to obviously be pretty much right on top of them. So here we're going to actually chase Volibear for days. You can watch this. I'm not going to explain this fight. You can just watch me chase literally for days. This is going to end over by a second turret. But that is your Counter-Strike. Very, very helpful. Then, obviously, there is your W, and your W is, in fact, your Empower. Pretty simple. When you activate this, just your next attack is going to deal some extra damage on them. It is going to scale from ability power and deal magic damage. Jax is a very hybrid-ish champion. There's not very many hybrid champions left, but Jax is totally hybrid, and we're going to totally build in that direction of hybrid and utilize kind of a full damage Jax. You can go fairly tanky as Jax. We're going to pick up a triple kill and then get shot off by LeBlanc. This game's kind of who's going to carry, their LeBlanc or me. So me and her are basically going to be the only people really picking up most of the kills this game. But Jax, you can go pretty tanky and still deal a handful of damage, but full damage Jax also is fairly tanky because of his ultimate, which we will now get to, which is your Grandmaster's Might. Passively, every third consecutive hit is going to deal bonus damage, magic damage. It makes a clunking sound when you hit towers, which is annoying because it won't queue off on the tower. But then when you activate this, Jax gains armor and magic resist, and it scales from a base amount plus 30% of your bonus attack damage into armor and 20% of your ability power into magic resist. So basically, the more armor and magic resist, or more damage, physical damage and ability power you have, the more armor and magic resist you get when you activate it. Now, it's only activated for 8 seconds when you do use that, but it makes you really, really tanky for those 8 seconds, especially if you are building damage. Now, let's go ahead and talk about some items. We finished off our first one. I go with the Blade of the Rune King. It's helpful while in lane because you get some lifesteal from the Vampiric Scepter. You also are able to then have the slow and all that damage too from its active on the Blade of the Rune King, so you can use that really well. It gives you that attack speed too, which is always helpful, so that third consecutive strike on your Grandmaster's Might is going to be going off more often. We're just going to get more damage from that as well, and we're going to stack our attack speed from our passive faster too. So all these things are kind of working together. So that's what we built first. Now this next item, you can probably already tell what I'm going to be building towards. It is the Trinity Force. We already have the Phage part of it. We're going toward the Sheen. This is a lot of also very good damage. Triforce, a lot of people think it is just a strictly hybrid item, and it kind of is, but it really isn't. You can pick it up on full attack damage champions. It works amazing on them. A lot of people think the mana and the AP is worthless, but it's the Sheen proc within Triforce that gives you all that extra damage, and that's why you're really buying it on full AD champions. It just really happens to work out even better on someone like Jax. Here, LeBlanc knows I'm starting to come towards her. Now, I know what she's trying to do because everyone's seen this on the internet. She's going to try to come up. She's going to try to get into this bush and then do all types of dashes. I'm not going to let it happen, luckily. I'm just going to be able to kill her and shut her down. She gets all sad and chat about it, but don't try to play tricky. I knew exactly what you're going to do anyway, so you're going to die. So will you, Sona. Go away. But so these are your items that we're working for early. Now, as for my boots, I went with Ninja Tabby this game just because Volibear does a lot of physical damage when you're dealing with him in lane, and that's just something I decided to get for in lane. Now, you can do really any boots that help you out. I usually am either going to be picking up Ninja Tabby boots or Merc Treads. Just really depends on who my top laner I'm going up against and the enemy team, if they have lots of snares, stuns, taunts, fears, any of that stuff. The tenacity will help me get rid of those a little bit quicker. So that's why you can choose between those two. Those are really the ones you want. You could do attack speed, but I like to have something with a little resist in it just because it helps you a little bit. Now, we're still working towards... Actually, no, we're not working. We haven't finished. We have the Trinity Force. We have our 2 main items, I would say. Well, 3 if you're counting your boots. But we have our 2 main damage items. And at this point, you can pretty much solo anyone as Jax with these 2 items. Jax is a very strong champion. He gets played a lot because of this, and he's got a really good kit with the whole stun, the jumping away, jumping in, get pretty tanky with your ultimate when you jump into a fight. He's just got really good utility as a champion. Here we're going to actually kind of bait out the LeBlanc a little bit with Malzahar being here. Once she dashes forward, I was like, you just need to ult her, which she does. We're going to stun her. She's going to go nowhere, and Ezreal will pick up the kill. So, luckily, we're going to get rid of her real quick. Like I said, she's the problem. She's got 9 kills, and I've got 10 kills, so it's going to be me versus her pretty much this game as who gets shut off. But he's just got this great kit, and it takes a little bit of time to get used to, but you can pretty much engage a lot of hard fights. You got to be careful to make sure you don't stay too long like how our team just did and got all killed But these are just, you know, useful items. Now, going back to hybridy Jax, I don't see it quite as often as you used to, but it works really well, obviously, because it scales with your ultimate so well. The next item we're going to start building towards, and we're getting closer to it, we do have the Hextech Revolver right now, and we have a Vampiric Scepter. And these are actually going to both build together. Once we get another Bilgewater in there, it'll build all to the Hextech Gunblade, which you don't see as often anymore. You'll still see it on people like Akali and a few other champions, but pretty much not too often anymore. Really good item. It's going to give you some AP and some attack damage, lifesteal, and spell vamp, and it also does have another unique passive on it, or active on it, which deals damage to them, and it's going to slow them. So you're going to have both of those available from the Blade of the Ruined King and from the Gunblade, making chasing even easier if you need to. So that is what we're working on right now, is that Hextech Gunblade. And once we get that finished off, that's even more damage. Like I said, we're getting kind of hybrid. This is, you know, you don't see hybrid all the time anymore, which makes me sad. Hybrid was super fun way, way back. But, you know, it's hybrid. It's super awesome. And the other nice thing about this is, if you're still in lane up to this point, I've seen it happen with the Gnosis especially. That's just another example. All of them seem to get armor early, kind of starts to negate Jax's damage, start to put points into your W because that's ability power, and that's going to deal magic damage because that's what that one does. And what you can do with that is you can basically trick them into maybe thinking about buying magic resist, or you're going to start to hurt them with that. So actually, sometimes I will rush the Hextech just a little bit early if I need a little bit more of that AP, and I want a little bit more magic damage coming off from my Jax. So that's one thing you can do if you're having problems against one damage size. You can kind of switch over and go the other way. There I do stick around too long, but it was hilarious. I almost killed Volibear after he went to go heal, and I hadn't been anywhere. But that's the amount of healing and damage that the Jax can do. You can play it kind of greedy, to be honest, because you can get out of a lot of sticky situations with kills, and it just works really well. So we finished off the Hextech Gunblade. So now we have Gunblade, Triforce, Blade of the Ruined King. That is what I would for sure say is your damage Jax build. At this point, it gets incredibly situational, mostly, and we're going to talk about that as this game goes on. This is actually a long game. We almost get to losing it because, I mean, it's pretty close game, really. It's just, like I said, it's pretty much me versus LeBlanc who's going to carry. So I'm going to go ahead and kill Ezreal because soloing 80 carries is not tough, especially with that stun and dodge. You can avoid a lot of damage. I will say another thing. I got the top vein has been happening a little more often recently. I don't know if it still is by the time you watch this video, but I feel Jax totally counters it really, really well. He jumps in, he stuns, he does a lot of damage. She pretty much has to run away at that point. Here you get low, but you can keep getting all that life back. Luckily, I did get a good ult from Gianna there too, but we can keep working over. We picked up a kill. Luckily, the team came, and we all worked together to pick up a few more kills, and that's just going to be really helpful. So, just good teamwork happening there, and that's what's going on. So, alright, I don't know if we totally talked about maxing out our abilities, but your main ones to max out are your Q and your W. You're going to max out your E last. Just make sure you have a point in it by level 2. That's the main thing. Alright, as for your runes, these are a little bit different than most normal rune setups, but what I like to do is I do the hybrid pen marks with Jax is what you probably want to do. The hybrid pen, they don't work on all champions, but they're not terrible. They're great, and they have some of the best scaling in the game just for runes. So hybrid, the hybrid marks, what it does is each of the runes are going to give you a little bit of armor penetration and magic penetration, and it works just wonders on hybrid champions. It'll work great on Jax. It'll work great on Kale. Probably work really well on Akali, really. So a handful of champions it works great on, and you know, that's what we're working for at this moment. Get into a bit of a fight. Right at this point, we actually do have a little bit of armor and magic resist too, and it's because we're going to start building towards a Guardian Angel because Jax is one of those champions with so much damage, and with the ability to dodge all those attacks with his Counter-Strike, you can pretty much just jump into a fight, or like right after you come out of your Guardian Angel, you can pretty much just start stunning and fighting and killing, getting all your health back again. So GA is really good item, especially at this point if you are kind of carrying. Probably not a bad idea to get one. You're going to probably try to get focused by the enemy team. So that's what we're going to be building now, and that one's less situational. I mean, it still is, but I think GA is just a very smart move on Jax, especially if you are carrying. So the next item's really the most situational. Depending. There's two main ones I go with. we're going to get into a fight. We do pick up the Baron. I'm going to actually kind of jump in and tank this. Nautilus gets really low, but I'm making 3 of them kind of run away. Volibear's going to get caught out. I'll end up picking the kill on him. And they're going to come back. I'm going to go ahead and get that Counter-Strike back up, stun the Ezreal, and kill him. And, I mean, it's just Jax. There's tons of damage, really. I know a lot of people actually ask me who's my favorite champion. I never have an answer for this, but then when I play some of my old favorites that I haven't touched in a while because I jump around playing so many champions, Jax is probably really, he's got to be top 5 for me. He's one of my favorites. A lot of people think he's really overpowered, but it's his kit. You got to play it right. I've seen bad Jaxes. A lot of it doesn't do anything. There was considering jumping in. I decided not to. We're actually starting to turn this game around. It will be over. As for that very last item, I've done 2 different ones. You can go Warmogs for tons of health, so it's even harder for them to kill you. Or to be absolutely ridiculous, pick up an Infinity Edge. It's just insane how hard you'll hit them at the end of the game. As for your runes, pretty standard stuff, 2190. Just pick up all the damage pretty much you want in the offensive tree for early nonsense there. Everything's in the description, comments down below, and I'll see all of you guys in the next build video. He's actually going to go invis and jump back at me. I was kind of hoping for this. Here he shows up. We're just going to massively crit him and kill him quick. And Garen's kind of low, and he's slowed because of my passive. He's going to flash away. He is still slowed. I also have red buff from Shaco now. He's going to silence me, but it doesn't matter.